Oh my gosh, it has been so long. And then I remember I had to hit the settings one, but the last time I did it, I didn't. Well, I had to this time. So let me, okay. It says it's waiting. I'm going to see if I can't get it up and if I'm live. Yay! See if I can't get it up. All right. Now, hopefully I didn't stop the sound because I had to turn it off on my computer. So hopefully if somebody comes in, you can let me know if you hear me. Um, I hope you all had a fabulous Christmas and a great New Year's. I did a lot of traveling and I am so glad to be home. Don't get me wrong, I love spending time with my kids and the grandkids, but it's tiring. It's like, oh my gosh, just get me home. Get me home to my bed. And of course, Ezzy is like another kid, and she has been very demanding since I got here. She's downstairs. I fed her because it was lunchtime for her. So I debated and debated about what to do today. And then I thought, we're starting a new year, and it's like, what can I do to help you along with your crafting? And one of the things that I use all the time are sketches. Now, I might find a card online that I case, but the majority of the time I use sketches. And I thought, let me show you how to use a sketch. And then I'm going to make 3 cards. I'm going to make it simple at first, and then I'm going to use some pattern paper and some embossing. And so I'm just going to show you a variety of things. Now, I hope that there is sound. It says I have 2 people watching. If you come in and you're here, I don't know if that's my iPad and my computer or what, but I do have my computer turned off. So, excuse me. Hopefully someone will come in and tell me. I don't want to turn it down until I know that there is some sound. But let's see. So anyway, getting back to the sketches. So I thought I would take a sketch and break it down for you and just offer you some advice about how to use sketches. There are tons of blogs out there, challenge blogs that have sketches that you can do. And so I thought, all right, I'm going to use a sketch and I'll show you how I went about figuring out my sizes and go from there. But I thought it would just be fun to just take a sketch and play with it. So I have a couple of cards. I'm going to wait a few more minutes because it still says 2, which I think is my iPad and my computer. So we'll see if anybody else comes in. I know I know there's a lag in what you see and what I see. What I'm seeing on what I'm doing on my phone is behind or ahead of what's on the computer. And so I thought, well, wait and see. Of course, now my iPad is way behind, so I don't know which one to go with. But we'll give it a shot and see. And hopefully, oh, thank you, Joy. I appreciate that. I wasn't certain. It's like this, it's been a while and the settings were crazy. So, all right, I'm going to get ready and I'm going to turn this down. So give me a minute to turn it down, turn it around, and then it's probably going to scream at me because I've got to take and rotate it. So we'll see if it works. So let me get set up. And I'm going to cover the camera so that it doesn't. right. Woohoo! It worked, and it's not screaming at me. Of course, I need to move it over a little. I got to remember that so you can see more of my, all right, almost there. A little bit of adjusting. All right, as I said, I'm going to use a sketch. And I got this sketch off of SundayStampsBlogspot.com. All right, and what I am going to do is I will put this into my sketch notebook. And I've started a notebook. These aren't very good because my printer was acting up. But when I finish with today's sketch, I'll put it in here. And then I have the sketch to go back. Now, if I don't like the sketch, I'll probably pitch it. But I trying to make a notebook of about 50 or so sketches. So I wanted to come up with a way to reuse it over and over again. All right, so with that, I went in and I downloaded the sketch. Now to do that, I click on it and it opens the sketch up in another page or another tab. And then I click on the sketch and I'll click save as, and I just save it. I don't worry about renaming it or anything, and I save it to my desktop. To get it to my paper, I take and I click on the download, and, or no, what I do is I take a screenshot, and then the screenshot goes on my computer, and then I put the screenshot into a Word document, and that's how I do it. To get my measurements, now this is my secret. I don't know how other people do it. I've shared this with a few people, so I'm going to share it here. To get the sizes I need, I take and on the website, I go to it and I take, and now with mine to enlarge it, I have a Mac, I pull out. So I pull out my image until this top measures 4 1/4. And I don't see my one ruler, so I'm going to grab my other one. Oh, there it is. I didn't see it, it was sideways. So what I do is I just go until this measures 4 1/4 or close to it, because I can fudge it a little bit. Then I make sure that this one is 5 1/2 or close to it. Now it's off by like 1/4 of an inch, so I know I can add 1/4 of an inch. So then I take and I put that measurement, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 at the top. And that's the card base size. Then I take this and I measure this. And this worked out to be 1 3/4 by 3 1/2. Now, it's 1/4 of an inch shorter, but remember, I was 1/4 of an inch shorter here. So I add 1/4 of an inch. So that gave me 1 3/4 by 3 1/2 for this panel. This can be any shape, and I am going to use different shapes on this. What I do then is I take and I measure this, and it's 2 1/2 inches. So the shape here needs to be 2 1/2 inches. It doesn't matter if it's a circle, it doesn't matter if it's a square, whatever. It needs to be at least 2 1/2 inches. So with that, I'm ready to make my first card. Now I'm going to move this to the side. All right, and as I said, my card base, I've got everything laid out. My card base, I'm using 2 card bases that are white. My goal in this is to show you you don't have to have a lot of supplies to make a card. This card's going to be made with white and 1 color. So if you're limited supplies, this is a great layout for that. So there's my card. The next thing was this piece. And I wanted it to stand out from here, so I embossed it with my favorite embossing folder, the crosshatch one. So I'm going to add this with some tear-in tape to my card base. let me get this out. And if I am using the embossed side up, you can easily do it with the debossed side, and I'll show you the difference in a minute. So let me get my tape on here. I'm also going to grab, okay, all right. Here's the embossed side. It has raised pieces to it. This is the debossed side, and the pieces are indented. So that's the difference between the two. I gotta remember my camera's over on the other side. All right, so there. Now, when I put this down here, it's kind of lost. So if that happens, what you can take and do is, I don't know if this is the right one, but I'm going to use it. You can take your ink pad, and this is Petal Pink, and I don't think this is the right one, but that's okay. And you can sponge the edge. Now you can always add a layer, but I didn't think of it, so I've got to remember, I've got to move over. All right, so I am inking the edges. So that just makes it stand out. All right, I'm gonna move this out of the way. And we're gonna get ready and add this. Now when you use tear and tape, which is double-sided tape, on your cards, make sure you burnish the end and then come into the middle a little. If you notice, I'm not going here at the end, I'm coming in some. What that does is it picks it up and it releases it from that end. All right, and I'm gonna put this, and I'm looking at my card, my sketch, and it's a little bit more spacing, but I'm gonna use even spacing here. I then took my 2.5 circle punch and a piece of Petal Pink, and I punched it out. This is going to be this shape. All right, and I'm going to start with my image. You know what? I'm going to try something here. I'm going to off-stamp it. Let's see. I can always flip it over. Yeah, it's not dark enough. I probably could try and put it on there full strength on top of it, but not quite. All right, and I just dropped the center. All right, so I'm going to take my center and I'm going to add it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it on top several times to get it darker. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is this image came from Sending Smiles. It's this one, and then I'm also using a card to say hello. I use that sentiment so much. I have a friend who her husband passed away suddenly, so I send her a card quite frequently because she's struggling, and we all have those. So, you know, I try to do those kinds of things. All right, now this is going to go on. Now you can put this on flat. I'm going to raise it up to give it a little bit more interest. So I'm going to use some dimensionals. And I'm going to go around and add it. And I'm going to put one in the middle. So I need to cut this. I have always cut my dimensionals in half, and I had a lady, I think she left a comment on one of my videos that she also cuts her dimensionals in half. I've never heard of anybody else doing that, so it was kind of fun to hear that. All right, now I've got this, and I'm going to make certain. Now, if you want to make this stand out more, I'm going to try this. I should have done this beforehand, but I didn't. I'm going to take a micron pen and I'm going to trace my image. And you have to go slow. And if you're off a little, it's okay. But this will just add a little bit of interest. All right. And this one has to come across. So, but this will just kind of, it makes it look like it's stamped, to be honest with you, if you take your time and trace it. And this is, what number is this one? Oh, it's on this. This is a 0.5. I purchased some of these, and I'm off a little bit there, but that's okay. I messed it up. I should have left it alone. All right, so there it is. And I use the pen to give it, you can use any pen to give it a little bit more interest. But there it is, clean and simple. I did not add gems. And I also didn't add this strip from the sketch. You don't have to add everything that's in the sketch. You can change it up. You could have easily put this on a piece of white and put it on there. So there's the first idea with the sketch. All right. Second idea. Okay. This time I used some DSP. Oh, and I forgot to get my stamp set. Darn it. All right, I'll put it together and I'll post it after. It's downstairs. I took it downstairs to take some pictures of some cards. And you know how that is. I went downstairs and it was gone. Gone from my thoughts. Again, simple card base. This time I took a piece of DSP and I'm going to add it to a layer to make it stand out. You don't have to. It's just an idea. And I am so mad that I forgot my, it might take me a while to get this to come out because I haven't used my glue in a while. All right. I mean, it's been almost a month since I've crafted. I did all my crafting to post to my blog before I left for Jess's in the middle of December, and I haven't touched anything till today because I had everything done that I needed to have done. All right, so there's that. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to add this to here. And the back piece is 1/8 of an inch bigger. So this is 1 3/4. So this is 1 7/8, 3 1/2, 3 5/8. All right, so there's that. Now, excuse me. As I said, this can be any shape you want. This piece is a 2 1/2 inch square. It's going on a 2 5/8 inch piece of Blackberry Bliss. I'm going to put this on, but I'm not going to put that on because I forgot my stamp set. This is the Translucent Florals, one of my favorite stamp sets. I love the images and I love the paper that goes with it. The paper is in the online exclusives. The Translucent Florals was in the catalog that just retired, but it carried over so you can still order it. I don't know if they added it to the online exclusives or not. So I'm going to put this here. And I am so mad that I left my stamp set downstairs. If it was on the table, I could go get it, but it's not. It's downstairs. So, but this piece, I'm going to stamp the flower in Blackberry Bliss, and I'll see if there's a sentiment in there that I can use and add. But I don't want to put this on because it wouldn't stamp correctly. So we'll just kind of put that one aside and say it's an unfinished project, a UFP. Okay, and my last one. All right, I changed this up quite a bit, but you'll see it's still the same. This time I'm going with a colored card base, and this happens to be Lost Lagoon, and the color came from the DSP that I'm using. This time I used that crosshatch embossing folder, so as you can see, other than inks, my cards are basically the same. You know, I used DSP that I already have, all right, but I used the crosshatch and I embossed it. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to add my double-sided tape to the back. All right, like so. I go all the way around the edges. I know some people will add just like corners or 3 strips in the middle. I go all the way around for a large panel because I want to make sure it stays in place. So I'm going to take my backs off. Make sure you burnish your ends. That means you push down really hard on them. I may push too hard. There we go. Couldn't get it underneath. All right, so this is going to go on the front, and it is centered, and I have glue on there. I just noticed it. I love this mat because all I have to do is that, and it's gone. Of course, it's not gone yet. I got to scrape it off. All right, I took this piece and I found this pattern. This is from Inked Botanicals, DSP. I buy a few different DSPs and then I use them in different ways. Sometimes I buy the stamp set that goes with it and sometimes I don't. All right, this is embossed, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on with double-sided tape also. And this is an instance where I will put strips because it's small. So I'm going to take and put a strip on each side and one in the middle, and it doesn't have to be straight. Half the time mine aren't. I just stick it down there. All right, burnish my ends, take my back off. Now, if your DSP has a direction, the ones I'm using, this one did because of the way the leaves are. I saw that as going up. So sometimes I will play with it and look at it. This does not have a direction one way or the other. So I'm going to put that on, although I have to tell you, when I looked at it the other way, it looked upside down to me. All right, I used my 2.5-inch circle punch, and I punched out a piece of Lost Lagoon. And then I'm going to pull in my 2 1/4 inch punch and a piece of specialty vellum, and they call it specialty because it's got a pattern to it. And now I always look to see, this is the back to me. So to get this to go on, the key here is I'm going to put glue dots strategically, tiny glue dots behind my dots. If your piece has a pattern to it, you can put it behind the pattern, but you have to find some way to hide it because vellum, the dots are going to show, your glue, your adhesive will show. Now, this may show, but the rest of them, that's a little too big. So we'll see what happens when it dries. This glue is supposed to dry clear, but we'll find out. All right, so there's my sketch. Here's my 3 cards. This one, minus this that will be stamped and added to it, and this one. And I will try to get pictures taken and a panel made. Now, this one you may find is too plain, and maybe you want, oh, I didn't stick that down. I thought it was going too good to be true. So let me add some dimension to it. All right. You can add a ribbon. We have some Lost Lagoon ribbon. Or you can add a gold, a silver, whatever you prefer. All right, there. So let me add this down here. And I'm going to put it on this way because if this does not dry clear, I'm going to put a sentiment across there. So there's the 3 ideas. Same sketch. Hi, Carol. I hope my explanation at the beginning about how to take a sketch and figure out your measurements is helpful for you. That is how I do all of mine. I just take and blow it, enlarge it to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 on my computer, and then I take my ruler and measure. And you need a good ruler. I love this ruler, and I've got to find out, this one end is coming out. I love this ruler. It's a Tim Holtz ruler, but it measures length. But then this side, if you need to find the middle of something, there's 0. So all you have to do is put it down and get it lined up, and then you know where the middle is. So I love this ruler for that reason. But the metal piece is coming out of one end. Here it is. See, it's coming out. And I've got to see if I can't put a little bit of glue in there, if it'll hold it. I don't want it to ooze out all over. All right, let me get ready, and I'll flip this up. And there's the ideas. I will finish this one, and what I'll do is I'll make a cover, and I'll come back and add the cover. I can do it after I finish this so that you can see. And I'm going to take my, this is a great, what do you call it, sketch. So I'm going to add this to my sketch notebook. Now, I got my notebook at Staples. It was not expensive. It was like $2, but you have to look for them. This, it's a 1-inch. It says it'll hold 175 sheets. Like I said, this was $2, but then what I bought to go with it is this, and these are the sheet protectors that go in there, because see, it's got the holes on the side, which you need. And this is the size you need. It's, let's see if it says 5.5 by 8.5, which is a good size because the computer paper, when you cut it in half, is 5.5 by 8.5. So I cut like 1/4 of an inch off of each, not each side, 1/8 of an inch off of each side, so that it ended up to be 5 1/4 by 8 1/4, so that it fits in there nicely. And if you want to get really fancy, you can come up with one where you put it there and add some lines, and that way you can keep track of when you use it. I can just as easily pull that out and put it at the top. But great way, especially if you struggle with card making, coming up with ideas to use. So let me flip this around. And let's see, now I got to figure out. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where. Okay, there it is. All right, hold on. It's screaming at me. I'm sorry. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. I'm so sorry. I don't like to do that, but I didn't. My hand moved. There's some finesse with it. What I need to do is just flip it up and then change hands and twist it. I hope I've given you some ideas for how to get your crafting going in this holiday, well, it's not the holiday season, in the new year, and that you've got some things you can do when you want to craft, but you don't know how. I don't know about you, but sometimes I spend a lot of time planning and then I run out of time to craft. So this way you don't have to. I hope you will join me on Saturday in my Facebook Live on my business page. And that's at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And see what we do there. I haven't decided yet. I've got to come up with something. I always try and find new ideas to share. I hope you have a great day. If you don't make it Saturday, come back next Wednesday at 10:30, no, at noon Central Time. Central Time, listen to me. I am so messed up. Phew. At noon Eastern Time for another YouTube Live. Have a great afternoon. Bye.